Hi, guys. This is our first story hour with Beyond Blessed Family. And the book we're going to read is The Little Christmas Owl. And this is Little Owl that we're going to read about. Everybody say hi. This story is written by Kalish and Gideon Sterer. And this is based on a true story of a little owl named Rockefeller, who we just met. He can't really sit because he's resting. Once, in a little town, in a little front yard, lived a little owl high in the branches of a very big tree. For the curious little owl, not even a year old, the world was filled with wonder. Streams were for splashing, forests were for flying, and friends of all feather were merrily made. One day, when winter had arrived, the town around her began to transform. Houses were decorated, lights were strung, jingles and music filled the icy air. Little Owl watched and listened, and that night, when darkness came, the whole town glittered and glowed. "What's going on here?" she asked her friends. "Christmas," said Moose. "And what is that?" Little Owl said. "Not sure," said the rabbit. "No idea," said the skunk. "No one knows," said Squirrel, "but it happens every year." The next morning, confused as ever, Little Owl flew home, where she found some people standing around the big tree's trunk. "It's beautiful," said one of them. "It'll be a perfect Christmas tree," said another. "A Christmas tree?" Little Owl wondered. "My home is a Christmas tree?" The workers began attaching wires and ropes to the tree. As Little Owl hid in the shadows, the branches pulled tight around her. She was trapped. Then she heard a roar. The tree shook, spinning and swaying, and it was lowered down onto a truck. Little Owl was dizzy. "Is this Christmas?" "Say goodbye to our tree," someone called as the big truck rumbled away. "Your tree?" wondered Little Owl. "How could anyone own a tree?" For hours and hours they drove. The cold wind rushed beneath her feathers. Little Owl was hungry, but there was nothing to eat. She was thirsty, but there was nothing to drink. She was lonely, and her friends were far, far away. "Is this Christmas?" Pinned against a tree, she tried to sleep. At last, 3 days later, the truck came to a stop. Again the tree jostled and lifted. Then, all at once, its branches spread. Worn and weak, Little Owl edged out into the light. "Where am I?" Below her, hundreds of people stopped and scowled, and cars clogged the streets. Above, strange towers scraped the sky. "This is not home." She tried to flap her wings, but she wasn't strong enough. As her eyes were closing, she saw. "Oh, there's an owl in here." And we can see the man that found this little owl. He's putting her in a box, and he's going to drive her somewhere. When Little Owl awoke, she was in a box. It opened, and a new face peered inside. "Hello, little one. I'm Ellen. Let's get you inside." Whatever Christmas was, it seemed to have gotten inside the house. The place was warm and cozy, and it seemed oddly to be made for birds. "Why are you here?" Little Owl asked. "Broken leg," said Hawk. "Broken wing," said Falcon. "But Ellen looks after us until we're ready to fly free again." After all this, Little Owl wondered, could a human really help? Over the next days, Little Owl gulped down water and gobbled thawed mice. She was given an X-ray, and every day Ellen checked her feathers, eyes, and ears. "Ellen is helping. Could Christmas be caring? Could Christmas be kind? Ellen held Little Owl in her hand. After all you've been through, she said, it's a miracle you're alive. But was Little Owl ready to fly? Almost, cried her new friends. Ellen smiled. Almost, she said. At last, at dusk on Christmas, they drove to the top of the mountain. Ellen lifted Little Owl from the box and raised her arm. You're free, she said. Welcome home. For the last time, the friends looked at each other. Then Little Owl flapped her wings and flew higher and higher into the sky. But she wasn't going home just yet. When at last she reached the very big tree, which was now a very big Christmas tree, she settled on her favorite branch. Bright and brilliant, the city was not what she remembered. The cars had disappeared. The great towers were merrily lit. The people were smiling and skating, and some were even singing. They held hands and hugged. All, it seemed, were eager to love. Is this Christmas? Yes, Little Owl thought, it must be. For some time, Little Owl sat basking in the golden glow. When at last the moon peeked above the buildings, she knew it was time to go home. You're back, her little friends cried, gathering round. And just in time for Christmas, squealed Moose. Whatever that is, added Rabbit. Actually, I may have learned something about it, said Little Owl as they all nuzzled close. Could you tell us? Of course, said Little Owl, knowing full well that this was Christmas too. The end. And there's a little note from the real Ellen Kalish about the little owl Rockefeller. Here's a couple ideas for parents and kids after reading this book. And I know we passed Christmas, but winter is still here. And so this is one of our favorites that I wanted to start the story time off with. But a couple of ideas is that you could actually purchase this book. It's not very expensive. It's probably actually cheaper now because Christmas is over on Amazon. And we'll have a link below so that your kids can follow along, especially if they're beginning readers. It'll be kind of like an audiobook. And you can read with your kids or have them read the little notes in the end about the real story. And if you're a traveler family and you've ever been to New York, make sure to point out the little pictures inside that are of actual places that exist in New York. And you can ask them some questions about, or go research if it's their older kids, about New York and the Rockefeller Center and the ice skating arena, and even about all different types of owls, because these are super interesting. We've read with my kids, and there's like ones that are 3 feet tall and ones that are 6 inches small. So that'll be really interesting things to just kind of add some educational background to this story time. See you next time. Bye.